I do prefer it to a point from really stifling heat, because there's something really nice about like getting under the covers or putting on like
Yeah.
a big blanket or a coat, and it's just a sensation that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely. Like also like a good hot cup of tea, right? Really soothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a desert rat, so I like the heat, but I hear you. I do really enjoy chilly nights, so I really appreciate the
yeah,
winters, albeit somewhat brief here, but it's still
yeah,
a lot of fun. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Mm, okay. I'm just finishing a smoothie there. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
share
saw.
my, yeah. Let me share my screen. Make sure I have that up. Let's see here. There we go. All righty. Mhm. Okay. And let me go full screen. Let me see here. That should do it.
That's your son?
That is.
Aw.
Yeah. We're super, super close. He's
Aw.
there.
That was your mom.
That's my grandma.
Gotcha.
Oh, much easier. Yeah. So I wasn't gonna, I usually just do, oh, there they all are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so what I did is I took a Prezi that I had and just tagged on the end of it
Uh-huh.
some images for today that I thought would make it just more personal, you know.
Yeah.
There's something about an image, especially when it's family and people that you're really close to and that you've been through a lot with, that
Yeah.
just elicits all sorts of good stuff, you know. And even when it's or if there's if there've been challenges, it's really I've recently been taking a to kind of preface the session. I was using a new strategy the last couple of days. I'm in the middle of a 7-week course on basically brain fitness. I just keep diving in to learn more. And it was a mindset thing, talking about empathy and how we can be more empathetic towards others and towards ourselves.
Yeah.
So talking about relationships, you know, probably the most important one we have is the relationship with ourselves, you know,
Oh, yes.
or at least one of them. Let me see who's coming on here. I'll get right back to it. Well, oh, there. Alcatel, welcome.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Good, Hank. It's Bubba.
Bubba. Man, okay, I got to keep Alcatel Bubba. I got it. glad to have you on, brother.
Right on, man. Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah. So,
Hi, Bubba.
Hello.
And so, yeah, we're talking about relationships today. And I was just about to share, perfect timing, Bubba, a new strategy I've been using for the last 2 days regarding empathy and mindset. And
cool.
Yeah, and empathy obviously towards others, but having empathy with ourselves. You know, no matter what we've done and the mistakes we've made, et cetera, finding ways to be empathetic with ourselves. And so I wanted to share that with you as a kind of an icebreaker and a strategy you can take. So I'll just take you through the strategy now instead of just describing it theoretically. So
okay.
put a in your mind's eye. Now, when you do this, I want you to actually try and find a photo of yourself when you were really young, like the younger the better, like 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, somewhere there. It might be 8 or 9-year-old, 10-year-old. So right now, can you think of a photo of yourselves that you've seen of you when you were a little tiny kid? So do you have an image in your head?
Yeah, bro.
Melinda?
Yes.
Okay, great. So see that picture in your mind right now as clearly as you can. You can keep your eyes open or closed, it's up to you. But see that image of you when you were little as clearly as you can. Look for as much detail. Are you smiling? What are your eyes doing? What are your eyebrows doing? What does your nose look like? What do your ears look like? What do your cheeks look like? And then just know that that image of you as a young little tiny kid represents at some level that inner genius in you, that loving self in you. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's not what it's about. But it represents the you that came into this world, right? And think of that image coming to life. See that image, that picture moving naturally, however you used to move as a kid. Maybe you were high energy, or maybe you were really kind of quiet. And see that image coming towards you and giving you a hug. And see that image giving you a little kiss on the cheek, or a pat on the hand, or maybe holding your hand. Hear that image speaking to you, saying something positive like, hey, it's okay. Hey, I love you. And really what you're saying is you love yourself. Now, for just a moment, and I won't do this too long, imagine yourself in a moment where you were really frustrated in your life, where you were angry at yourself. And imagine now expressing that anger to that younger image of you. Maybe you're yelling. Maybe you're just, maybe your hands are clenched. Maybe you're crying. And imagine how your younger self responds to either being yelled at, or seeing you cry, or seeing you hurt in some way. And let that image now float away. Let that image float away. And come back to your image of your younger self, seeing you. Maybe you're taking your own self for a little horseback, ride on your shoulders. Maybe you're swimming, maybe you're going for a walk. But see yourself now connected to your younger self in a joyful manner. And now take that image of your loving younger self, innocent young child, and bring all that energy inside you, because it's still there. It is still there. So if you had your eyes up closed, you can open them up now. And I'm curious, what was that like for you?
Talking to me, Hank?
Whoever.
I'll go. The image that I thought of is I was under a year old. Both of my older brothers were holding me by one hand. I was walking by the time I was 8 months. So it was before I was 8 months, because they were holding my hands and they were walking me down the sidewalk towards the street from the house, the front door.
Wow.
And I remember being real happy just being with them. It must have been like an occasion, because when I was little, they used to dress me up a lot in little short pant suits kind of thing.
Yeah.
Little kid suits and stuff. And so it's a fond memory. I do have the picture and I look at it a lot. And then being a little older, being mad at myself, being mad at, I wasn't screaming, I was mad at myself. It was just at about 7 years old, I had been suspended from school once again and got in a lot of trouble, and was just kind of frustrated with myself not wanting to conform.
Right.
Not didn't want to conform to the rules at school and the house rules and stuff. So I had left. I never considered it running away. I would just say I would leave. When the police would stop me, I would just tell them, no, I had to leave. So I was never a runaway in my mind.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, that was kind of the time I was real frustrated with myself as a kid. Took many more years than that, though, to finally get right. But that was one of the first times I remember being mad, frustrated with myself because I wouldn't conform. I couldn't make the right choice. As they used to say in my neighborhood, I couldn't get right.
Those are powerful words in a, kind of obviously that have a certain energy to them.
Yeah, a lot of energy, definitely, but just misguided.
Right. Well, I like your energy now, bro, I have to say.
Well, I know it's cliche, but if it wasn't for the drum and music, I'd be locked up or dead or strung out, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were introduced to the drum and music, my friend.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, right? Woohoo!
Thank you.
Yeah. I've danced with Bubba drumming, and so for many years.
Who's this, Melinda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, how you doing? My phone's so small I can barely see anybody.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should put on my glass.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So Melinda, what was that like for you, that experience I just kind of walked you through or talked through?
You know, the parts where we, focus on like enjoying your own self, loving yourself, seeing the face that you had on yourself from the past and reacting to that felt really good. And these exercises are kind of still new to me because I don't normally think about myself this way, and then when we had to be frustrated at our own self, that was really like surprising, meaning like, wow, I've gone off on myself and other people, and then kind of to do that to my own self as a real youngster, made me kind of like sad, and just the awareness of how powerful that is.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
So I'm glad though that to go through the exercise, because I've had some exercises like this and I usually end up crying like a lot. So I'm glad that I can actually do it without crying.
Awesome. And it's okay if someone cries too. For me, what this has done, I tend to really push myself. Like my MO is go, 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 which, has upside, but it can have downside. And so I've been consciously, or to use your word, more aware of, I guess in layman's terms, giving myself a break. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm out there doing my dancing through life the best way I know how to dance, and
Yeah.
to get better. And not every last detail is going to work out.
Right.
And it's been a really significant change in my my center of, I guess, my inner peace. I
Yes.
feel like it's this light that's been getting much, much bigger.
Yes.
And all I can tell you is it feels great. So I'm glad that, thanks for both of you for playing along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of the introduction to the session. And you're looking at an image. Bubba knows Nick, and that's a really good image of him because that's his authentic childlike self there coming out, even though he's 21 in the picture, or no, 20. He was 20 in that picture. I'm dating myself in that photo. And the relationship I have with Nick, I'm going to use as a metaphor or a connection to one of the points. And so one of I was going to end with this one, but in case I run out of time, I'm going to start with it because it's, of the three things I want to share with you today, this is, in my opinion, for me anyway, has been the most dynamic and the most life-changing for my relationships in professional and personal settings. When I jam with my son, first of all, and my family now knows this, and they're all in on it, but I didn't tell them this for years. So the trick was, I would say, hey, Nick, let's go grab some tea or coffee or something. I would find a way where Nick and I were alone. And then I would find a way where my daughter and I were alone. My wife and I were alone. Sometimes my wife, myself, and my son, my wife, myself, and my daughter. I would encourage Sam and Nick, my daughter and son, to be alone. So what I did is I would start grouping. And what happens is, every single time, and if I brought them into the room right now, they would probably, they're not probably, they would definitely agree. In fact, I hear my son, who just arrived. Maybe we'll have a guest speaker in a moment. But anyway, different conversations come up when it's just me and Nick versus me and my daughter versus all three of us or all four of us or me and my dad, or when my mom was around, me, my mom, and my dad. I would take my mom out for breakfast alone a lot because there were things she just wouldn't bring up around my dad.
Yeah.
Like him.
Right.
So I'm curious, have either one of you been intentional in this way with people in your lives? Is it something you tried?
Yeah, I definitely have with all of the kids one-on-one when they were younger. Now they're all married and some have their own children already. Some don't, but I still try to get one-on-one time with them. And I even try to do it with their spouses.
Awesome.
Sometimes the spouses aren't that willing.
Right.
I think they're a little intimidated or just don't get me or whatever, but that's cool.
And what's the outcome been? Have there been some positive outcomes with that, using this technique?
Yeah, almost all the time, Hank. Especially when they were younger, and coming up as teenagers and stuff. It was usually very productive and fruitful, the conversations that we would have, and helped me to keep on track with each one of them. Because at any given time, there was, out of 8 kids, there was like 2 or 3 being teens at the same time.
Yeah. And Melinda, what about you? Is this a new concept or something you've used before?
I was thinking about that. I think I was doing that kind of like like through my intuition. I used to have a position at a job. I worked with a lot of Pima College students, and I would sit with each of them, and then I would start grouping them, and then I would leave the room because I'm like, I think these two need to talk to each other. And so in some ways, it kind of matches what you're saying, even though I wasn't like cognitively like, oh, this is my plan. It was just, it arose, the moment arose, and something just told me like, oh, I think I can leave these two together.
Yeah, I find that it happens professionally, like breakout rooms, like a conference or, colleagues get together in different meetings, committee meetings, whatever. But I think we don't, as a society in general, I don't think, and Bubba's an exception, and now I am, although I didn't used to, I think we don't do that as often as we could societally with our family relationships and personal relationships.
Yeah, it sure wouldn't have worked in my family because they're so, my mom's the type that's like, what are you guys talking about? You're talking about me. It was almost impossible to go off with my dad because she would get so mad,
Yeah. I mean, no, my dad actually would be like, when he found out, he'd be like, oh, why didn't you invite me here?
Yeah, you're talking about me? Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on? So I mean, definitely we have to kind of play the scenario and find ways to, make it natural. Like I'm not a fan of inauthentically creating connections that don't exist, obviously.
Right.
But just setting up the environment for the
Right.
camera. Yeah. So that's one thing. The other idea, concept, and also strategy is scaffolding of questions. So I'll just take you through kind of a lighthearted. Well, they're all lighthearted because when you scaffold a set of questions, what I do professionally and personally is I'll start with something like, now if it's me and my daughter, I meant to change my image, sorry. See here. That's my grandmother, my Nana. And, and she kind of scaffolded questions. She was also about the other thing I want to share, open-ended. Let me go there and I'll come back to scaffolding because my Nana's up. So my Nana was famous for asking open-ended questions. And Bubba, when you said, like sometimes people might not get you, a lot of people did not get my Nana back in the day when things were more traditional, but she was not. And like I tell people, that's a good hair day right there. That's a really good hair day.
Uh-oh. You're frozen.
Yeah, froze up.
Uh-oh. Enrique. Yoo-hoo.
Can you hear me, Melinda? I can hear you.
Just fine, Bubba.
Yeah. Hank froze up, I guess.
Oh, damn. Maybe he'll come back. Or I don't know. I think
Maybe he doesn't.
the
Maybe he
internet.
doesn't realize.
Yeah. Well, because if he's frozen to us, then we must be frozen to him.
Well, yeah, probably so. Huh?
I guess there's so many people using the
Yeah, I
internet.
know that. Yeah, that's
Oh,
what.
it says now I'm the host, so I guess it's just you and I.
Yeah, you're the host
What
now.
if he's gonna try to get back on? I hope so.
I don't know. Do we
Have you-
disconnect and wait or
Oh.
what?
Let's disconnect and then come back on.
Okay,
So end it and then come back.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, that didn't work. Let me see.